it's really interesting to see new updated use cases and things that people have done in their organization. So that's been shared every year. And hopefully you will be able to gain knowledge that will help you build and improve machine learning solutions within your organization. So first of all, I want to thank our sponsors because we wouldn't be able to be here without you. Thank you so much, E2F, Vectorize, Johnson Labs, and Vellum, for making this event happen. And also another big thank you and a round of applause for our community partners. It's a big deal because all of this takes a lot of work to promote and put together, so we wouldn't be able to be here without you guys. Just a quick note that Data Science Salon is brought to you by Formulated By, and we are a locally based B2B marketing agency that specializes in working with startups that are really heavy on machine learning and AI. So talk to us if you need marketing help, or if you want to build your own community. We're here to help. So throughout the day, we're going to be sharing, a lot of content. So I encourage you guys to really share, and please use the DSSMIA hashtag. You actually can see all the 7 years of content that's out there if you look at this hashtag, which is really cool to see what we've done throughout the years. And tag us and we will repost you guys. Here's the Wi-Fi if you guys have not located it yet. This is the Wi-Fi, and it is also found on a couple different places around the space here. So in the back of your badge, you'll find a QR code, so you can scan that, and that will bring you to the schedule. So if you ever need to see where we are, or what's coming up next, you can go in the back of your badge. Or there's a couple banners so you can scan. So another way to stay in touch throughout the event and after is through the DSS Slack. So you guys can scan that as well, and I think we sent you a couple emails, so if you guys are registered, it's in your emails, so there's a link to join. And that's where you'll see a lot of other members from other cities in there as well after. The last event of the year, we're really excited about to go back to San Francisco, and we're going to be there November 7th, so if anybody's going to be there, join us there. And then next year, we're going to be in Austin, New York, and Los Angeles, and we're really excited about that. I'm not sure why the Austin logo is not there, but we'll fix it. Oh, there it is, just needed a click. We also have a blog that we post on at least once a week, so we have a lot of great contributors that have contributed, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely check it out. We have a lot of webinars and trainings that we host, so it's really good for getting pretty much on top of the very newest technology that's out there. We show it in the webinars, so definitely check those out. And a lot of questions about applications. How can you speak here? You can apply to speak, and we have an open CFP that is open all year round, and we love local speakers and speakers from everywhere. You guys are welcome. So without much further ado, I'd like to officially kick off Data Science Salon Miami 2024 and give the stage to our first speaker, Chalamayya Batchu, Veera, Senior Enterprise Architect at Georgia Pacific, and he's presenting a session on navigating the evolution, the present and future of the LLMs and enterprise environments. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all had coffee. So I'm Chalamayya Batchu, flew from Atlanta. I work for a company called Georgia Pacific. It's a paper manufacturing company. We started our AI journey 8 to 9 years ago. Again, most of you would have thought, what do we do, or how do we use AI, or LLMs, or CT, or whatnot in the manufacturing industry. We are more advanced than that. So So in that role, I deal with a lot of questions on why do we use AI, how do we use it, and when do we use it, right? Uh, Coming to my other domains, I've been working in the industry for more than 17 years. Manufacturing is my primary domain, following with telecom and healthcare here and there, but most of it is in manufacturing. I also do contribute to some of the articles in IGT and ACM because that's my interest to understand what's upcoming in LLMs, in AI, in data, in quality, whatnot. I've been a data professional all my life, and that's where it interests me. So without further ado, okay, I just want to kick it off on, I know the hardest topic today is LLMs, like what are LLMs? They're nothing but more sophisticated AI models trained on large sets of data, right? Basically to generate human-like text. Again, there are different characteristics. I have more folks here, more technical than me here, but I just want to start with the context on where did we start even using LLMs and what is it today in enterprise? How did we go through it? And what is the future for us in an enterprise setting? Yeah, there are so many things that are changing. Every 2 months we start coding it, and then the packages are already gone or there are new updates. So this is a fast-changing world. And how to keep up with that is the summary of our presentation today. Most of you would have seen this, the LLM landscape. Again, this is a copy paste from the internet. I didn't prepare it. So we have a large set of LLMs in today's world, starting with the hubs, the multimodal approach, the audio, the speech, the text, the images. There are a lot of different styles of LLMs, and it all depends on where do we use what and when should we use it. And LLM is not the only solution. There is an ecosystem around it. You need to start with data, the infrastructure, how qualified is your data. So there is a vast amount of ecosystem around LLMs, and it's not just LLMs. The idea of this slide is just to give an overview on what do we have today. And this might be outdated for a week or 10 days, and then we might have more coming up in the next 3 to 4 days. I don't know how many heard about it. The O1 from ChatGPT started with the reasoning on that, which was the main ingredient for an enterprise on the why, right? It was generating how, but it never told us why. So we haven't started using that, but it's a good one in the face. So quick overview, again, I'm generalizing the most of the concept, but it is also applicable to any other enterprise, be it manufacturing, be it healthcare, insurance, or whatnot, right? So in the last 18 months is when the advent of the LLM/ChatGPT happened. So we started uploading some of our Excel files or Word documents to ask it to summarize, generate something new or whatnot, right? So the 4 places where we have seen LLMs or we use LLMs is one, I know I said customer service in a general way, but it's more about how do I interact with my customers and how do I be more productive in the text that I generate. It's very, I wouldn't say funny, but foundation on how you interact with people in a textual form. So again, LLM gives you that edge to do or write the text well, but it's again requires human review on what is it generating and why is it generating. So today there is a lot of things on chatbots. I know chatbots have been there for more than a decade, but the chatbots powered by LLM give you the more context around what it is saying and why is it saying, other than just a Q&A bot, which are already predefined in the rule-based mechanics. The second one is content generation. Again, the content generation is not about just the social media or whatnot. It's also about how do I write news specs, or how do I think about marketing, or how do I think about sales. So the text that you generate for your flyers or for your marketing material. So we use, to a certain extent, again, we should be very careful on using the open source models versus the open-ended models. I'll give you a brief overview about it. But today, we use a lot on how we generate the content, not only for the public facing, but also for internal facing. Say we have a lot of SharePoint documents, we have a lot of PowerPoint presentations. So how do we create more text, or how do we summarize the existing stuff? Most interesting part, again, my area is data analysis. We have been using some of the LLMs in the data analysis to a certain extent, and now the challenge to use it for data analysis is the context. As you know, there is unstructured data, there is structured data. LLMs play very well in unstructured data, but not so much in structured data. So we have put a layer on top of it called the knowledge layer or the semantic layer, leveraging graphs, right? On Neo4j or anything on AWS or Google. So we have been going through the process on how do we analyze the data, combining the structured data with unstructured data, right? In a manufacturing context, which I could give you an example is, there are a lot of your ERPs, CRMs, and whatnot in large databases, and then we have the IoT data. Now, how do I combine both? To ask my chatbot, how is my machine performing and so and so day, and what is my yield or productivity on so and so year? So that's where the balance is on how do you leverage the power of LLMs to combine different contexts, different data types, and create your own result or answer or response. Yeah, everyone's different code generation. Even I use it to generate a lot of code to do POCs or quick value generations. Again, we are very careful on not to leverage the open source or open-ended chat GPT version. We have private stuff, leveraging AWS Bedrock or any other cloud. So the first and the foremost security is about the data that you're going to use to ask ChatGPT or anything else about your questions, right? So again, this is a summary of where we are in general. I've seen my peers using most of the LLMs. There might be more. You might be using more than that, but in general, this is the 4 areas that I've seen using LLMs. Diving down a little on manufacturing context, because I'm from a manufacturing background, this would resonate more with where we use AI in general or machine learning in general. So what is so special about using LLMs in those 5 or 6 domain areas that I've described? Operational efficiency. So Georgia Pacific has 150 plus manufacturing sites. We manufacture the wood products, paper products, some building products, and we have huge machinery. Each paper machine is of size 2 times this big. So imagine the number of components, the number of modules, the number of sensors in that machine, and imagine the operating manual. That's thousands and thousands and thousands of pages, right? So we use LLM to find out the best response for an operator to ask a question and respond, okay, how do I operate this machine? What is its operation methodology, its best rate? Is the temperature so much? Is the pressure so much? So this is changing the way the operators work with machines. It could be any manufacturing industry and not just us. The second one is quality control. Yeah, every product that is manufactured has to go through quality control. So there are certain criteria on each product, each setting, and how the product has to be done. So again, we have lots of text and manuals around how the quality should be, so we leverage LLMs on automating some of those quality controls. Predictive maintenance, yes, the most widely used AI, ML, LLMs, whatnot, and how do we predict the machine failure or an asset failure to avoid downtime or unplanned events. Supply chain, we started using supply chain by listening to other peers, same industry or a different industry on way to leverage LLMs. Supply chain is again its own ocean, and there are different ways, different modules, different concepts that we use LLMs in supply chain context as well. Last but not the least is the decision making. So we have built our own scenario planning tool, whether it's code, whether it's interaction with people or whatnot. So we use some of our brainstorming through LLMs to understand, are we thinking in the right direction? Are we shortlisting the right options? Is it to be evaluated further? So these are some of the scenarios that we're planning to do to emphasize the productivity in employees and also make the decisions better. So again, I didn't list on the slide, 3 categories that we use LLMs is one, the employee productivity, be it co-pilots like Microsoft or GitHub or anything else. The second one is the business productivity. We have all these enterprise tools or platforms like as I said, ERP, CRMs, they're bringing up their own Gen AI on top of their platform. So how do we see that? And last but the least one is the custom Gen AI solutions, or the custom LLM solutions. So these are the three areas where we see how do we manage, balance the technology. One thing that we've seen in the technology is the tech debt, be it a simple C program to advanced analytics using AI. So as an enterprise, our goal is to reduce tech debt. So my role especially is on how do I categorize what tools for employee productivity, business productivity, and then custom solutions, which are not solved by the first two. Again, this is a quick overview at a high level. Again, there was a vast evaluation on where should we use open source, where should we use enterprise-focused or cloud-specific LLMs. The four factors are, at a high level, we were at the flexibility, cost, support, and customization on leveraging the open source models versus the proprietary models. Again, it's not what do you want, it's about what factors does affect you in your journey. So for enterprises, most of the data is secure, and we would not like our data to be known to the competitors, right? So we adopted mostly cloud-based LLMs, which is Amazon Bedrock. So we use Bedrock also as a virtual layer for the underlying LLMs, because the end user doesn't need to know is the response generated by Claude, or is it generated by OpenAI, or any other LLMs, let's say. So Bedrock is playing a major role on how we virtualize. Again, as I said, it's not just the LLM. There is a lot of data that gets into it, and there is a lot of data munching that happens before it even goes to LLM. Interesting concept is the data scientist work has changed a lot on how do they take the data versus run the models, because it's taking time for them to understand which way do they chunk the data, what are the best databases, do we do RAG on graph, do we do RAG on vectors. Again, there are a multitude of options. So we have classified some of them based on the response time, based on the criticality. So some questions are related to your safety of an employee. So those are very critical. So we need quick response. Some things on operating manual, not that quick. But again, it's all about on the SLAs and all the other stuff that we think about an enterprise level. Okay, that's what I think I've already addressed the data security. The second one is bias and fairness. As we all know, there's been a long problem in all AI and ML world. I wouldn't say we have dealt with it very efficiently. We are maturing the process, and so are many enterprises, right? Bias is something based on your data. So when you ground or when you retrain the LLM on your data, there are many things that you need to take into consideration. Again, I can get into more technical, but that's not the session for us now. The next one is the explainability. I know the term sounds easy, but it's not easy to prove. Why is that answer generated to you, whether it be an LLM or an AI model? Explainability is playing a very critical role, especially in my context of enterprises, because you are taking a decision based on the response, and that decision, if it's a critical decision, you have to be very, very careful. So transparency is pretty important. Ethical, I know we don't emphasize on ethicalness so much when we are in experimentation phase and we want to move to production quickly. At least in our enterprise, we are putting a strong emphasis on the governance aspect. People hate governance, but governance is required on the advanced models. What data are we using? Why are we using the data? What is it generating? And who is using it, right? That matters most, because if you're not considering the end users and you don't know your users, it's going to be a mess on who is using it and why is it. They could just blame the machine, but still, the machine is generating the response based on the data built by data engineer or data scientist. Going to the future, again, it's not saying that 10 years from now where we are, but at least 10 years from now, we would be using mostly multi-modal LLMs. Multi-modal is like a single LLM able to give you the text as well as images. We haven't seen that requirement so far, but we see some of the use cases coming in, and the manufacturing industry, one about the operational efficiency, as I just said. So I'm asking a question on how do I operate this paper machine. So some questions require responses in terms of images. Okay, this equipment, this module, this is how you operate, right? So we see that coming in. The second one is integration with our existing enterprise systems. We all love our enterprise systems. They're pretty modern, as you all know, SAP or any other things. It's not easy to integrate a modern tech stack into a legacy enterprise situation. Though they are having their own LLMs, they're building a lot and putting a lot of effort from enterprises, but integration is still a challenge. And we, again, I'm not saying we have solved it, but this is the future. You cannot have LLM run on its own with its own data, having a lake or just focused on the LLM, but your LLM or the language model should be able to navigate into an enterprise system. So one key thing for integration with enterprise systems is data deduplication, right? I know many industries have been building lakes, warehouses, and whatnot, and lake houses, that's the latest one, right? So we are avoiding most of the data duplication, help of integrating the existing systems, and not to move data just for the sake of LLMs. Specialized enterprise-focused LLMs. We have seen some of the co-pilots or the language models focus on certain domains, be it sales, be it marketing. We are evaluating at this phase because they are more trained on general data and not on your company-specific data. You might have different rules for sales, different regulations for sales, be it in US versus Europe versus Asia. So what we are trying to do is start from step 10, like grounded on our existing data. We are still in the process, but I see it's a accelerated way to use LLMs in certain domains and see how do we create an enterprise layer on top of it. Again, there are different ways to do that. LLM agents, this is my new hot topic for me as well. We started looking about agents, and to simply give its definition is like my Iron Man Jarvis. I asked it to do some task and it does it for me. And there is a future where we see agent of agents, like agents interacting with each other. Don't know that AI is going to rule the world, but just a specific action, talking to other specific action to get other specific action. So in an enterprise context, with a lot of businesses and ERPs and CRMs, we have seen agents play a very critical role. And again, it's like any other piece of software. It has to be managed, it has to be maintained, it has to be upgraded. But we also see agents play a major role in enterprise systems, be not the whole enterprise, but at the specific module level. Again, I added ethical and responsible because we are not in a mature stage with it. There are some organizations coming up with AI governance and AI ethics, but we still need to mature, and that is the future of LLMs as well. Okay, I said about future, now how do we be prepared? First, upskill, including my own organization. So we have to upskill our employees. It's not about developing LLMs, it's about using LLMs, when to use them, why to use them, how to use them, and how to make a decision based on the LLM generated answer. Infrastructure, LLMs are not cheap, they are expensive. But again, it's about how do you use them, using in a cloud-based context, because you want the whole LLM to be loaded into your enterprise. So play the pros and cons of the approach. You need to have mature infrastructure and cybersecurity to handle most of your responses. Partnership, again, this goes back to AI experts or AI partners or the consulting partners. It's not that you cannot do without them, but it could accelerate your journey when you have a partner on your team. I put it on the last, the data strategy, but that is the first aspect to think about anything to do with analytics, be it BI, AI, LLM. The quality of data defines the quality of your LLM response or AI prediction. My request is, or emphasize, is to put more efforts on the data strategy, because the way you strategize your data structures, when I say data structures, how you organize your data, how you store your data, how you put a semantic layer on top of data plays a major future role, because for decades we have been modeling data for lake houses, warehouses, the business intelligence and AI and ML, but LLM's got a whole different way to model your data. So I would say start with your data strategy, where you are in terms of data models and where would you like to move for LLMs. Embrace change. Again, it's not easy to move from an experiment to production, especially in enterprise context where there are a lot of challenges on security or the newness of the product. So we embrace change. I wouldn't say so late, but better than other industries where we started our journey of LLMs, I think, last year, September, and we have multiple LLMs in production today. And it's not simple. We have to prove the value, prove what is it capable of, prove it is secure. So we are moving way faster than any other industry when we talk to other conferences or industry panelists. So I'm happy that we are doing this, but any learnings, anything that you'd like to know, please come and meet me here. I'll be able to explain more. Okay, with that, thank you so much for the opportunity. Either I'm too clear or no one understood anything.
Can you talk more about how you use
LLM agents? So today we, again, as I said, we just started our journey 2-3 months ago when we thought about RAG agents or agentic RAG. That's where we started to see how do I interact enterprise system like a CRM or ERP that doesn't have LLM capability, and I don't want to use any of my existing bedrock / anything. How do I bridge a gap that's only through an agent, right? So think it today, we're using it more at an integration level to make the connection between the non-advanced systems and the advanced systems, because be it leadership, be it the change. So we use agents to say, okay, how do I interact with Salesforce to get the sales data, right? I don't want to run the Army's team, but I want to get that information. So that's where we're using agents. That's one example, but there are other examples. We are looking at it. How do I think about chain of agents? We haven't gone that advanced, but we see the future coming there. So agent could be more like an integration mechanism for you, for the systems where you don't want to rely on one technology or one tech stack, right? Because agent is more code neutral, or sorry, platform neutral. So I could use an agent to run an OpenAI code, or I could use an agent to run a Claude or anything. So we look agent as more platform neutral for component, and we are still in the early phases. Okay, that's the only thing we didn't go to production. So we are looking for more, how do we think about it? And there's also the resource perspective of agents, because you deploy the agents, now who will manage them, who will maintain them, or which team will do that, because there is a concept of both citizen data scientists and the advanced data scientists, like who will do what. We're looking there in those perspectives, because it's easy to start an experiment, but it takes a lot of time for us with the leadership to say, okay, who will manage it, who will deploy it, who will maintain it, who will use it, and whom to expect. We are not using our own native models. We do use, as I mentioned, AWS Bedrock. So we use Bedrock, mostly Claude or Llama models, and then we ground it on our existing data. The beauty of it is it's a private instance. So even though you take Claude model, you don't need to deploy the whole Claude model in your enterprise stuff, because it's a cloud instance. The infrastructure, everything is maintained by AWS, and it's a private copy of the Claude or Llama or Veera anything. So we use that model and ground it on our existing data. We are not having our own LLM or something like that. We use existing stuff that's already available in the market.
How do you budget for these things, and how are you managing your budget? How's that?
Interesting question, because every enterprise does it different. So when we start experimenting, there's not really budget involved, but when we would like to be put in production, we think about the number of requests, how much data we're putting in there, and the team that has to build, manage, or maintain and support. So these all aspects go into our what we refer to as a TMF, decision-making framework. So that's when we put all together and kind of SOW, we could say, okay, this is the model, this is the price for the storage or infrastructure, this is the price for the resources, this is XYZ, just like any other project. We put that model and then add it to our existing application or whatnot. So it's still, we had challenges before we decided which model or which technology we would use, but now with us standardizing on most of it on Bedrock, so we have an easy way to budget it very well. Okay, only time for two, so I can come and talk to you later, so that's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your data security concerns on public cloud like an AWS versus a private cloud or an in-house IT solution?
So is your question about how are we solving that, or?
Yeah, what are your concerns? How are you solving it? Are you on a private bare metal solution with AWS, or are you really on what is typically a shared virtualized model?
We are on bare metal. So before even LLM journey, we had a cloud journey where we move all our data into AWS. So all our data is in AWS. Again, that played a major role on which cloud to pick. Is it a Microsoft versus AWS? We could use Microsoft OpenAI as well, but most of it, for any custom, we use AWS because our data is there, secure, it's in a private cloud, so we use AWS for that. Yes.
Related to the budget question, how do you measure?
Sorry.
Related to the budget question, how do you measure the outcomes of the implementation?
So the outcome is based on the feedback from the end users. So if because we go through a rigorous acceptance testing on, asking them to use the chatbot or the interface for that, and they start asking more different questions. So we start tuning our models, start tuning our data and whatnot, and the outcome is based on how much am I saving in terms of time or cost. Because if you take predictive maintenance, it's about the cost to avoid the failure, right? So we budget that, like, okay, if this fails, the whole factory has to be down for, say, X hours. That is a cost we save because we predicted it, the guy asked the question, and then it gave the right response, so this is the value we save.